Hello and welcome to another music color tutorial. In our channel you can find cool tips and tricks which you can apply to your future projects, no matter which DAW you use. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. In today's episode we are looking at the theory behind the music. In today's episode we are looking at rhythm, how to create standard drum beat for any genre and build on that. So rhythm is where you choose to position your notes within a bar of music. So wherever you're making drum beats, bass lines, lead melodies or chords, rhythm play essential part in everything you do. So let's get started. So in electronic music, a lot of time your drum beat can define in some way the genre that you're trying to make. So the rhythms that are in house music, for example, will be defined that are in hip hop, or rhythms in drum and bass, or even dubstep. So a lot of different genres in electronic music can be defined by where you choose to put those particular beats within your bar. Now let's open new MIDI clip, and I already loaded in a drum rack here simple kick, snare, hi-hats, clicks, that every elements that we will need for our tutorial. And now we're gonna look how to program different rhythmical beat patterns for a few different genres of music. So let's have a look first what we have here. Okay, so this is our sequencer window at the bottom here, and in Ableton this automatically defaults to be 1 bar long, and within that bar we have 4 beats. So here we have beat number 1, beat number 2, beat number 3, and at the end right here we have beat number 4. Now you will have 4 beats in every bar. So what we have here is 1 full bar of music that you can program. The default settings here is in this window takes each one of those individual beat, and divides them up to further 4 slices. But we can change this to divide each one of the beats up into whatever slices we want. We can simply right click here and select size of our fixed grid. So within this 1 bar we can select half a bar, quarter of a bar, eighth of a bar, 16th, which is our default settings, or 32nd. So we choose quarter, so we can see now we have only 1 rhythmical position. So we have only 1 rhythmical position per beat, like this. So if we choose this option, we will be severely limiting yourself, as the rhythmical opportunities within your tune, because you can only have one sound on each bar. But we need the default settings right here for our demonstration. That's why I'm gonna switch back to 16th. Now this gives us different rhythmical opportunities within each one of the beats. So within each one of those beats in a bar we have different options for placing our kick, snare, hi-hats, or whatever you want. And this allows us to create quite interesting drum beat. Okay, so that's how to use the rhythm settings in your sequencer window. So let's dive in and see how to create the different drum beats. let's get started with a slow tempo, and we're gonna move to faster. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a hip-hop drum beat. Let's have a look how to put together hip-hop drum beat. Okay, so I'm gonna rename our first clip here to hip-hop. Okay, so let's start with the kick. So in hip-hop, the sign of this groove is given by the kick. So we don't necessarily want our kick drum dropping on standard up or down beat to give us that steady rhythm. In this case, we will find to put in the kick drum to various different positions. That will give us our groove. So let's start with our kick drum. So okay, we're taking our second kick drum and dropping it here in our syncopated section. One of those in between the upbeat and downbeat. If you got two sections in between there, the last quarter of the beat, number 2 here, and we also moved here, which is up to the beat, which is our kick number 3. So let's drop 2 snare notes here as well. Okay, so let's hear how it sounds. So you can see that you're getting it a bit more groove from your kick right here. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sequence some hi-hats up here. So I'm gonna put hi-hats to all upbeats and downbeats. Let's hear it one more time. Okay, you can hear the addition of the hi-hats, and especially those two right here, either side of the syncopated kick drum, which gives the drum beat its groove. So let's move on and check out how to create house drum beat. And again, keep in mind it's standard drum beat, and this here house drum beat. So let's see where the rhythmical position of different signs normally would be in house drum beat. So I'm gonna start with the kick. I'm gonna put notes on each one of the beats on the bar. The beat basically creating the pulse in your track, and this is the most familiar pulse you get within electronic music. So let's add our snare on beat number 2 and beat number 4, and let's hear now how it sounds. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna position some hi-hats. So the hi-hats in house music going in between the kick drum and the snare, or known as offbeats or upbeats as well. So let's put our hi-hat to 3rd position to every one of our beats, and let's have a listen. Okay, nice. So probably you can recognize something in there from majority of the music if you're into house music. This basic drum pattern. Okay, so that's how to create standard house drum beat. Of course, you can try various different way. You can put more elements here, and let's maybe try to put hi-hats all the way through, and let's have a listen. Yeah, it sounds a bit busy. Let's maybe try to put some other elements. Okay. Okay, let's move on to our next drum beat, which is how to use triplet rhythms in your drum beat. Let's first move the tempo a bit faster again. So you may have heard the term triplets, or may seen it in your menu, all depending on which DAW you use. So if you use Ableton, you can find this option right here. Just simply right click in the sequencer window right here, and you can see it. We can see that we have an option of triplet grid. So here is our standard window setup to 16th. So keep your eyes on the grid lines right here, and I'm gonna show you what happens when I'm changing the grid to a triplet. And you can see now that each of our beats, instead of to be divided to 2 sections like we were previously, now we've been divided into 3 sections. So what that allows you to create as unique sound type of rhythm within your track. So what I'm gonna do is to put standard kick and snare pattern. And if I play this, we will have standard house drum beat. But what's the difference here? We don't just have one offbeat or upbeat in between the kick and snare. We have 2 beats. So if we use our hi-hats here, let me just sequence in rhythms. Okay, so let me play that and hear how it sounds like. So as we can hear, this drum beat has a lot more swing. If we compare with the house drum beat, you can hear the difference. Okay, so you can have actually can have triplets in house drum beat and techno and drum and bass, whatever you playing, and will give you that swing instead of having standard up and down type of groove. You can find triplets more often in hardstyle genres with fast tempos. Okay, so that's how to incorporate triplet rhythms within a drum beat. So let's move on and bring the tempo a bit higher and check how to create techno drum beat. Okay, so let's start programming our standard 4/4 techno drum beat. We can use our house drum beat, so I'm gonna duplicate that MIDI clip and I'm gonna rename it to techno. So I'm gonna take the snare out of the beat completely and I'm gonna put hi-hats exactly as it was in triplet drum beat. As we have only hi-hats and kick, we don't have anything that has a groove to it. As we know, the tempo is very important within a kind of music that you're making, as I mentioned it before. That's why I'm gonna switch the tempo back to 128 and just let's hear the difference. Okay, let's play it. Hear the difference. Okay, let's say 140 BPM. Tempo is another one of those things that can help us to define the genre. Okay, so let's have a listen one more time after we change the tempo. So within a lot of hard techno, you're not looking for anything complicated as far as the rhythm is concerned. Okay, so that's the techno drum beat sorted, so let's have a look to drum and bass. So for drum and bass, I'm gonna use the hip hop MIDI clip that we already created, so I'm gonna duplicate it as I did with house and techno. So I'm gonna rename it to drum and bass. So if you remember, our hip hop tempo were 85, so I'm gonna change the tempo to 170 and let's play that hip-hop drum beat to hear how it sounds with this tempo. Let's have a listen. Okay, so you can see that a lot of similarity what goes to hip-hop, down-tempo, urban, as we gain to drum and bass. So a few things that I want to move around in our drum beat that will be more recognizable as a drum and bass groove. So feel free to experiment, see what works for you, what you like, what you don't. I'm showing you standard sort of rhythms as I mentioned it already, so feel free to tick in particular kind of ideas, play around with different ideas, experiment what works for you, what you like. Don't let music theory to hold you back, just try different ideas and you will surely come out with something cool. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Consider subscribing if you still didn't subscribe to our channel. So stay tuned and see you next time. Bye for now.